Greetings, family. We're hoping that you are doing very well and we are happy to have you today. So, over the weekend, okay, let's go back 1 week ago when Trump's inauguration. When Trump was inaugurated last Monday, he said one of the things that he said, and we made a video on this, is he's going to pause American aid to the world for foreign aid for 90 days, right? And they did that. He signed an order in which he stopped all the aid except the one that was going to Egypt and Israel, I think. Egypt and Israel. And after that, things have been boiling nicely. We also saw that Trump administration urged USAID workers to join the effort to transform how Washington allocates aid around the world in line with Trump's America First policy. And it also threatened disciplinary action for any staff ignoring the administration orders. And a sharply worded memo sent on Saturday to more than 10,000 staff at USAID offered further guidance to Friday's stop work directive that effectively put a sweeping freeze on US foreign aid worldwide. The memo, reviewed by Reuters, laid out expectations for the workforce on how to achieve Trump's goals. The US is the largest single donor of aid globally. In fiscal year 2023, it disbursed 72 billion in assistance. It provided 42% of all humanitarian aid tracked by the United Nations in 2024. So, hey, this is raising eyebrows in Africa. And we've seen a lot of things happening in which people are very much concerned, because one of the things that this aid has been doing is financing the supply of HIV drugs. There's HIV, there's tuberculosis and malaria drugs. And there's a lot of organizations in Africa that are being funded by USAID. So imagine all these organizations will now go without money, because what happened, what they said is anything that was given need to be stopped. Even if it was in the bank, it had to be stopped from being dispersed. And anything that was promised is nothing is going in. As at now, there's nothing we can say, oh, there's some money which these organizations can use. So a lot of people are very concerned, and we want to look at the concerns from Africans.
I saw some people the other day crying, oh, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He is appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bwana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying, tujiulize, what are we going to do? Haya, ametoa hiyo pesa, sasa tutafanya namna gani jameni? What are we going to do? Yeah? To support ourselves. Because nobody is going to continue holding out a hand there to give you. It is time for us to use our resources for the right things. We are the ones who are using them for the wrong things.
And we'll start with one Hopewell Chinono from Zimbabwe, a very renowned journalist from Zimbabwe, who's saying this. The Trump administration has instructed organizations in other countries to stop dispersing HIV medications purchased with US aid, even if the drugs have already been obtained and are sitting in local clinics. That's what the New York Times had said. So the Trump administration has ordered a halt to paying salaries to local nurses who were covered by American aid. And he says the salaries for 25,000 Zimbabweans have been paused due to this order. The halt order on HIV medication will result in more infections, especially in Africa, because ARV medication stops infected people from infecting their partners and spouses. A significant concern is that one-third of all new HIV infections in Zimbabwe occur among adolescents and young people aged between 15 to 24. Young women in this group are twice as likely to contract HIV compared to their male counterparts. ARV support supplied by America have been instrumental in reducing infection rates. Without this medication, many Zimbabweans will die if they stop taking it, and others will become infected as those who discontinue treatment may transform the virus. He continues and saying, approximately 1.2 million people in Zimbabwe are on HIV treatment. Around 90% of HIV positive pregnant women receive ARVs, which means many babies will be born HIV positive if these mothers stop taking medication. African leaders are unlikely to prioritize this issue, as evidenced by the situation in 2007, when, before Western intervention, one child in Zimbabwe died every 15 minutes from a HIV-related death. He's talking in the
Context of Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. But my question is, Zimbabwe is one of the biggest gold producers in Africa. But because this is not their priority, they'd rather leave it and wait for the 90 days so that they can. That is the problem we have in Africa. So that is Zimbabwe.
It's a wake-up call, honestly. Yeah.
It's a wake-up call.
Well, it's not good news that it's going to happen to our brothers and sisters, because at least some of us know somebody who's living with HIV,
Yeah.
especially coming from Southern Africa. That thing is it's a killer disease in Southern Africa. It's not good news to celebrate, but it is something that will wake us up as Africa.
Yeah. So now we go to the very renowned journalist from Nigeria, David Hundeyun. And what is he said? For the record, he says this, for the record, Trump's decision to halt all foreign aid, no matter how haphazardly enforced, is good for you as an African. I would also say that, because it's a wake-up call, like you have said. And he said the fact that so many African healthcare programs are dependent on US aid funding in the first place is not down to American benevolence. It is in fact a deliberate US foreign policy decision to make your essential systems dependent on the US government, so that Washington, D.C. gains functional control over the day-to-day running of your country, much like how a drug dealer gives his victim their first dose for free, knowing that the victim's body will become psychologically dependent on the drug and they will die without it, which will make them do absolutely anything for the drug dealer. The African government is currently the addict, and the US government is the dealer. In exchange for that hit of healthcare funding and other types of funding which your country does not need to beg an outsider for, but somehow only seems to be able to get from USAID, your government will be forced to play whatever economic and geopolitical role asked of it by the world's biggest gangster. Trump is obviously not trying to help you, but his decision is helping you in spite of himself. So instead of crying about how Trump is condemning HIV positive people to die, maybe ask why the money for ARVs only seems to come from USAID in the same countries with political appointees who get paid more than even American political appointees. Then ask yourself why a philanthropic donor would watch the people he is donating money to live more lavishly than him, and yet decide to keep giving them money. He must either be the world's greatest dumbers, or he has another reason for giving them that money. What do you think?
I think it's a wake-up call. I will repeat that again. Well, this one, when you go to countries like Eswatini, you hear the citizens complain about poor healthcare services. South Africa, if you are not rich enough to afford private healthcare, you are doomed. And right, I think it's a narrative for all African
It's a
countries,
narrative,
honestly.
because
Kenya is
even
the
South
same.
Africa is very rich in minerals.
Exactly. All of us are rich in minerals.
Now we go
but
to South
we are
Africa.
crying.
South Africa, MDN News says this. US President Donald Trump has suspended foreign aid, cutting off the supply of vital HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria treatments to some of the world's most vulnerable regions, including South Africa. With programs like PEPFAR now frozen, Millions who depend on these life-saving medications are at risk. The move has sent shockwaves through aid organizations who warn that this suspension could have devastating consequences, particularly in South Africa, where millions rely on foreign assistance to combat these diseases. You see now, we came from uh, Zimbabwe, we went to Nigeria, now we're in South Africa. As in, people are just saying crazy.
And I'm just crying for my continent because I know a lot of people indeed are going to die, and our presidents don't care.
Yeah,
Our leaders don't
that's
care.
the biggest
Coming
problem.
from Swaziland again, we used to see growing up, there's a time when HIV was really, it was at its highest peak. And you'd see vehicles like PEPFAR, USAID going deep into the villages to help these patients of HIV and AIDS. Some were bedridden such that they can't even move. You can't even transport them with an ambulance. So unless the services would go to their homes, that is the only kind of help that they could get. And seeing such things happening in front of our eyes, and knowing that our countries are so rich and our presidents were waiting or are waiting for USA to do such a service to its people, it is very embarrassing, because if this thing stop, trust me, no government department will take over. They will just say it's over. We can't help. We don't have money. We don't have funding. And it will be the end for our people, our brothers and sisters in Southern Africa, in the rest of Africa, who are dying and suffering.
But do you know, this might bring, see, like for Kenya, for Nigeria, we have seen protests. People have been fighting because they know their resources are being misused, looted, and they want accountability. If that happened before this, don't you think this will push away, will push the people to do that? Because if the people are like, no, we won't let our people die, people will rise against these governments and they will ask for accountability. Because I need to understand one thing. This money is given through USAID, it comes to the government. Be sure that more than 50% is looted or misused. Okay. Another thing is, it's not that our government cannot afford. You find that USAID is giving $200 million, for example. $200 million, of which maybe over 50%, 80% will be misused. Okay. But don't you remember there's a certain African president who's buying a jet for $100 million?
From which country? From which money? Where does he get that money?
There's money for that, guys. But there's one person that you'll never hear him crying about USAID freezing the funding to his country, health sector. Who is he?
I think it's 3.
Ibrahim Traore, for one. And while certain Africans think that it is normal and acceptable to have the entire sectors of their government held up by America, his government is busy quietly building a 500-bed capacity national teaching hospital in Bobo Dioulasso, commissioning a new gold refinery to stop Burkina Faso from exporting cheap nuggets, opening new agro-processing factories to benefit Burkinabe agro exports, and bringing the country to within 24 months of total food security. Imagine. But hey, there are a lot of guys out there crying. But this guy is doing things his way. He actually even refused aid. You remember? He said, we don't want aid. Our very own sister Natalia says this: development aid does more harm than good anyway. 65 years of development aid have brought little improvement. State development funds are primarily there to make the donors feel good. It's all one big theater. The donor countries know perfectly well that our leaders misuse the funds, launching unnecessary inflated infrastructure projects that do nothing for the population, or pocketing the money outright. Practically none of it reaches the citizens, but we are the ones left in debt afterwards. Cut it off. I would say the same. I would say cut it permanently, not for 90 days. In the case of East Africa, I saw Kenya saying that they are ready for that and they have the money to cater for. So the Minister of Health saying that
Saying is something else, doing is another.
maybe they are going to do it because it doesn't mean that they don't have. They only
Who
misuse
is
it.
the president of Kenya?
I don't know. But one thing for sure, let me tell you. For example, we have seen them doing renovations for the vice president office. It was done last year. It is being done this year. That money is a lot of money. And if it was done last year and they want to do it again, what happened to the money that was used last time?
And you still believe
So what I'm saying is there's money for this, but there's no
it is
priority.
not a priority. That is the problem. That is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
In
We have
Zimbabwe-
leaders who don't care about us.
Yeah.
Unless you have a leader like Traore, Chiani, and Assimi Goïta. Those are leaders who are dedicated
Those
to
guys
serve,
they are able to buy weapons worth 600
to
billion
protect their people.
using their own country money,
Exactly.
not loans and all that. But in our countries, we are taking loans. Mnangagwa, it's coming. Ramaphosa, it's coming. William Ruto, it's coming.
When you look
will
at
have to be
people
ready.
like leaders like Ibrahim Traore, he bought airplanes for a Burkina Faso. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a private jet.
Yeah.
He could have used that money to buy himself the biggest
Mhm.
private jet too. That guy moves around with an army plane.
Exactly.
Because he's a soldier, he's a military
doesn't
guy. He doesn't
need-
need that as long as
Yeah.
it can move him from one place to the other.
That's all he needs.
But now put that with another president who doesn't care.
Tinubu. Tinubu is
That
I
guy
don't know
was
if he bought
yacht.
he bought a yacht.
Well, how many
for
times
what?
do you go to the river, to the ocean?
This
To,
old.
I mean, honestly, you people. So we have leaders who don't prioritize our livelihoods. They prioritize their own happiness and that of
Their
their families.
families. So guys, this is what is happening in Africa. You have seen big people complaining that the funding will not will lead to a lot of things, like people will lose jobs. It's true.
Yeah.
People will die. It might be
Let me
true,
tell you, those
but
people-
the dying
Yeah.
will come if the government does not take action. We have a lot of money in Africa. We have a lot of resources. Our taxes are enough.
Yes.
Talk of Kenya, it's enough. But are they going to use our taxes for this, to buy drugs for our brothers and sisters? We don't know. But what I'm sure, and this is a very positive thing, it is going to reveal our status as Africa.
Especially the health sector of
In the
most
health
African
sector, yes.
countries, yeah?
Yeah, not just the health sector, because USAID is in development, in health. So guys, let us know what you think in the comment section. Do you think this would be a wake-up call, a positive thing for Africa, or you think that
And
with our sleeping presidents and people who don't care about us, but they only care about their families, it is the head for Africa? Let us know. And also, if you'd like to support us, we have Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. We also have super chats and super thanks. And also like and share this video. See you in the next one. Bye.